Jack Freeman stood at the viewing port of Outpost 7 watching the approaching Xerelian ship. Its sleek purple hull glinted in the starlight like polished amethyst. Jack had never seen anything so beautiful in his 10 years working as a technician. On the space station alert Xerelian diplomatic vessel requesting docking clearance, the computer announced. This was unusual. Most alien species sent notice weeks in advance. Jack rushed to the docking bay. He wasn't supposed to be the welcoming committee, but Captain Diane Miller had ordered all available personnel to make a good impression. The Xerelians were powerful allies with technology, centuries beyond human understanding. The airlock hissed open. 4 tall beings stepped through. Their skin shimmered with purple iridescence, catching the light as they moved. Each had 4 slender arms and large silvery eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Welcome to Outpost 7, Jack said with a small bow he had been told was proper Xerelian greeting. "I am Technician Jack Freeman." The tallest Xerelian stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Xerel. This is my mate Ilana and our daughters Taya and Kira. We thank you for your welcome." Jack noticed the youngest daughter, Kira, staring at him, her silver eyes wide with curiosity. Humans were probably as strange to her as Xerelians were to him. Her skin glowed slightly brighter when their eyes met. "Captain Miller will be here shortly." Jack said, "Would you like refreshments while you wait?" "This would be appreciated," Ambassador Xerel said. Jack led them to the station lounge. The Xerelians moved with fluid grace, their 4 arms making human movements seem clumsy by comparison. As they walked, Kira moved closer to Jackus. "It true humans only have 2 arms?" she asked her translator, making her musical voice sound almost childlike. Jack smiled. "Yes, just 2. We manage okay, though." "Fascinating," she replied. "And your skin does not change color with your emotions?" "No," Jack said. "We blush sometimes, but that's about it." Kira seemed delighted by this information. "Is that why your face is changing color now?" Jack hadn't realized he was blushing. Yes," he admitted. "Happens sometimes when I'm talking to someone new." Over the next few days, Jack was assigned as the Xerelians' guide while diplomatic talks proceeded. Captain Miller had chosen him because he had the most flexible schedule, not because of any diplomatic skill. But Jack found he enjoyed showing the aliens around. Kira followed him everywhere, asking endless questions about human customs, Earth animals, and station operations. Jack answered patiently, finding her curiosity refreshing. Most humans took their surroundings for granted, but seeing everything through Kira's eyes made the familiar seem new again. On the 3rd day, Ambassador Xerel approached Jack. "Your assistance has been most valuable, Technician Freeman. We would be honored if you would join our family for the evening meal." Jack accepted, thinking it was simply a formal thank you. He reported to their guest quarters that evening wearing his cleanest uniform. He brought a small potted plant from the station greenhouse, as Captain Miller had suggested was appropriate. The Xerelian quarters had been transformed. The standard station furniture was pushed aside and cushions arranged in a circle. A low table in the center held strange fruits and steaming dishes Jack didn't recognize. Our honored guest, Ambassador Xerel said, gesturing with his upper arms. "Please sit beside Kira. She has spoken highly of your knowledge." Jack sat next to Kira, who glowed brighter at his arrival. The meal was unusual but delicious. Food was passed around the circle, each person taking small portions. The Xerelians ate with their lower arms, while gesturing with their upper ones during conversation. Jack noticed how the family seemed to watch his interactions with Kira. They nodded approvingly when he complimented a dish she had helped prepare. They exchanged glances when he made her laugh with stories about his first days on the station as the meal ended. Jack accidentally touched Kira's hand, reaching for the same piece of fruit. Their fingers brushed and her skin glowed so brightly it illuminated the room. The family fell silent, watching intently. Ambassador Xerel stood solemnly. "The signs are clear," he announced. "We are honored to welcome Jack Freeman into our family. The marriage ceremony will be performed tomorrow at sunset." Jack choked on his drink. "Marriage? What marriage?" The room fell silent. Everyone stared at him. Kira looked down, her skin pulsing with waves of light. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Jack stammered. I mean, Kira is wonderful, but we just met Ambassador Zorel looked confused. You have shared food with her 3 times. You have exchanged personal stories. You brought her a gift and made her laugh. These are the traditional steps of Zorelian courtship. You have completed them all. Jack tried to explain human courtship was different, but the ambassador seemed unable to comprehend how people could know if they were compatible without following the ancient rituals. Captain Miller was called to resolve the situation. She arrived looking worried. The situation was explained. This is delicate. Jack, Captain, Miller whispered. The Zorelians are extremely important allies. Their technology has helped us develop our new defense systems. We can't afford a diplomatic incident, but I can't marry her. Jack protested. I barely know her, according to their customs. You do know her? Captain Miller sighed. And you've performed all their courtship rituals. Refusing now would be seen as a terrible insult. It could damage relations between our species. Jack looked at Kira. She seemed as uncomfortable as he was. Her skin had dimmed to a soft lavender. Her 4 hands twisted together nervously. That night Jack paced his quarters, unable to sleep. Should he refuse and risk damaging humanity's standing with a powerful alien race? Or should he go through with it and figure out an exit strategy later? Neither option seemed good. As dawn approached according to station time, Jack finally made a decision. He would talk to Kira directly. Maybe together they could find a solution that wouldn't offend either of their cultures. Morning came too quickly. Jack had barely slept. He showered and dressed, trying to prepare what he would say to Kira. A soft chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. He opened it to find Kira standing alone in the corridor. Her purple skin seemed paler than before, and her large silver eyes looked troubled. May I enter? She asked formally. Jack stepped aside. Please come in. We need to talk. Kira glided into his quarters. Her 4 hands fidgeted nervously. I came to apologize, she said, her translator, making her voice sound small. My family is very traditional. I should have explained our customs to you. Jack gestured for her to sit. They settled on opposite sides of his small living space. I'm sorry too, Jack said. I don't want to offend your family, but marriage is a big deal for humans. We usually spend years getting to know each other first. Kira nodded, her head appendages swaying gently. I understand. In our past, marriage was simply a political arrangement, but in modern times, many young Zorelians believe in choice. I told my father that I cannot accept a reluctant mate. Jack felt a wave of relief. Was she offering him a way out? My father has proposed a compromise? Kira continued. A courtship period of 1 Earth year. If at the end we do not wish to marry, there will be no dishonor. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than an immediate wedding or an interstellar incident. Jack agreed. They would spend the next year learning about each other with no obligation to marry, if either felt it wasn't right. That afternoon they met with both families. Ambassador Zorel and Captain Miller witnessed their agreement. Jack would continue his duties on the station, but would also participate in Zorelian cultural activities. Kira would study human customs. The ambassador seemed pleased enough with this arrangement, though Jack noticed some of the older Zorelians exchanging concerned glances. Captain Miller looked relieved that open conflict had been avoided. What Jack didn't expect was how quickly his life would change. Kira became his shadow, learning about his work, his hobbies, his past. She asked endless questions about Earth, his childhood, and human relationships. In turn, Jack found himself fascinated by Zorelian culture. Kira taught him about their history, their art, and their complex social customs. She explained how their forearms represented balance in all things, and why their skin changed colors with their emotions. 2 weeks after their agreement, the Zorelian diplomatic mission, prepared to depart, Ambassador Zorel approached Jack with an unexpected offer. As part of your courtship, we invite you to visit our homeworld for 1 month, he said. It would honor us to show you our culture, as you have shown us yours. Jack looked to Captain Miller for guidance. This wasn't part of his job description. Captain Miller smiled. This is an unprecedented opportunity, Jack. No human has spent significant time on Zarella. It would be valuable for interspecies relations if you'd be willing to go. And so Jack found himself aboard the Zarellian vessel, heading toward a world no human had ever visited for more than a diplomatic stopover. His quarters were spacious but strange, with curved walls and furniture designed for beings with four arms. Kira visited him often, bringing samples of Zarellian food, music, and literature. She seemed genuinely interested in making him comfortable. Jack realized she was as caught in this situation as he was. Neither had intended courtship, but both were trying to make the best of it. The journey took 2 weeks, Earth time. During that time, Jack noticed something unexpected. He was starting to enjoy Kira's company. Her perspective on life was so different from his own. She saw beauty and efficiency and found wonder in the most ordinary ship functions. One evening, as they shared a meal in his quarters, Kira asked a question that caught him off guard. "Do humans only mate for reproduction?" she asked, her skin flushing a deeper purple. Jack nearly choked on his food. No, he managed to say. "We form relationships for companionship. Love, shared interests, lots of reasons." Kira seemed relieved. "Zarellians are the same," she said. "But my father is very traditional. He believes all courtships should lead to offspring." Jack carefully set down his fork. This was definitely not a conversation he had expected to have. "You mean he expects us to have offspring?" "Yes," Kira confirmed, "if we were to marry." Her skin pulsed with embarrassment. "Is that possible between our species?" Jack had no idea interspecies biology wasn't his specialty. "I don't know," he admitted honestly. "But maybe we should focus on getting to know each other before worrying about that," Kira agreed, seeming relieved to change the subject. When they finally reached Zarella, Jack was stunned by its beauty. The planet had 3 small moons, creating complex tidal patterns in its purple oceans. The Zarellian cities were built to complement the natural landscape towers of crystal and living plants. Spiraling into the sky, Kira's family compound was located on a coastal cliff, overlooking an ocean that changed color with the position of the moons. Jack was given his own quarters, with a view that took his breath away. The first week on Zarella was overwhelming. Kira's extended family all wanted to meet the human who might join them. Each day brought new faces, new customs, and new challenges. Jack struggled to remember all the proper greetings and gestures. Kira remained at his side, guiding him patiently through the complex social rituals. When he made mistakes, which was often, she gently corrected him. Her family seemed to approve of her attentiveness. One night, unable to sleep, Jack wandered onto the balcony of his quarters. The 3 moons cast multiple shadows across the landscape, creating an alien beauty he couldn't have imagined. "You cannot sleep," Kira said. Appearing silently beside him, Jack jumped slightly. "I didn't hear you come in. We Zarellians move quietly," she said. "It's an evolutionary trait from our past as forest dwellers." She joined him at the railing. "Do you find our world beautiful? It's the most amazing place I've ever seen." Jack admitted honestly, "Your people have created such harmony with nature. Humans could learn a lot from you." Kira's skin glowed with pleasure at his words. "I feared you might find us too different too." Alien. Jack turned to look at her. The moonlight made her purple skin shimmer like a living jewel. "Different, yes," he said. "But that's not a bad thing. Difference can be beautiful." As soon as the words left his mouth, Jack realized he meant them. Somewhere in the past weeks, his perspective had shifted. He no longer saw Kira as just an alien being he was obligated to spend time with. He saw her as a person fascinating in her uniqueness. Kira's skin brightened in response to his words and emotions. "I feel the same," she said softly. "Humans are so passionate, so quick to act. It is different from our careful way, but there is beauty in it." They stood together watching the moons set, neither speaking, but something important had shifted between them. What had begun as an awkward diplomatic arrangement was becoming something neither had expected: friendship. Jack spent a month on Zarella, learning the ways of Kira's people. Each day brought new discoveries. The Zarellians lived in harmony with their environment. Their cities were built to enhance rather than replace the natural world. Technology was seamlessly integrated with nature in ways humans had never achieved. Kira took Jack to the ancient temples where her ancestors had first developed the philosophy of the four balances. These massive crystal structures captured and amplified the light of the three moons, creating spectacular displays that told the story of Xerelian evolution. "This is why we have four arms," Kira explained as they stood in the Temple of First Knowledge. "Each represents an aspect of balanced life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. When all four work in harmony, we achieve our potential." Jack was fascinated. The Xerelian approach to life was so different from the often chaotic human way. Yet he found himself drawn to their philosophy. During his third week on Xerella, Ambassador Xerel invited Jack to join the males of the family for a traditional ceremony. The males gathered at the edge of a purple forest. Each carried a small, crystalline object. Jack had been given one, though he didn't understand its purpose. "Today, you join us in the communion of thought," Ambassador Xerel explained. "It is how Xerelian males bond and share wisdom." The group formed a circle and placed their crystals in the center. The crystals began to glow, connecting to each other. Jack watched in amazement as they created a network of light. Ambassador Xerel instructed Jack to focus on his crystal. The others did the same. Jack tried to follow, though he wasn't sure what was expected. Then something extraordinary happened. He began to sense the emotions of the others around him. Not in words, but in feelings, impressions, memories. The experience lasted only minutes, but when it ended, Jack felt changed. He had glimpsed the Xerelian way of understanding the world, their deep connection to each other and their environment, their sense of time stretching far beyond human perspectives, their genuine curiosity about him and his kind. That evening when he saw Kira, her silver eyes widened. "You look different," she said. "Your energy has shifted." Jack nodded, still processing the experience. "Your father included me in the communion of thought." Kira glowed brightly with surprise. "That is a great honor. Few outsiders are ever invited. It means the family truly accepts you." As his time on Xerella neared its end, Jack realized something unexpected. He wasn't eager to leave. Part of him wanted to stay, to learn more about this world and its people. To learn more about Kira. On his final night, the family hosted a gathering. The entire compound was decorated with bioluminescent plants that responded to movement, creating waves of light as people passed. Many Xerelians approached Jack throughout the evening. Some touched his shoulder with their upper right hand, a gesture he had learned meant respect. Others shared memories of their first encounters with humans. Jack felt a sense of belonging he hadn't expected. Kira found him watching the three moons rise over the ocean. "You seem thoughtful," she said. Jack smiled. "It's hard to believe he'll be leaving tomorrow. A month ago, I couldn't wait to get back to familiar surroundings. Now you see with different eyes," Kira finished for him. "Exactly," Jack agreed. "In just a month, my perspective has changed so much. I wonder what a year will bring." Kira's skin brightened at his words. "The formal courtship period?" Jack nodded. "Yes. I'm actually looking forward to it now. I'm curious to see where this journey takes us." The next morning, Jack boarded the Xerelian ship for the return journey to Outpost 7. Kira would remain on Xerella for 2 weeks before joining him. They would continue their courtship, dividing their time between human and Xerelian environments. When Jack arrived back at Outpost 7, everything looked smaller than he remembered. The corridors seemed cramped, the lighting harsh. Captain Miller greeted him with enthusiasm, eager to hear about his experiences. "You look different, Jack," she said, after their initial meeting. "Something about your eyes, the way you move." Jack smiled. "I've learned a lot," he said. "The Xerelians have a different way of seeing the world. It's changed my perspective." Captain Miller seemed pleased. "The higher-ups will want a full report. This is the longest any human has spent among the Xerelians. Your insights could be valuable for future relations." Jack spent the next 2 weeks readjusting to station life and preparing for Kira's arrival. He realized his quarters would need modification to accommodate a Xerelian visitor. He requested permission to adapt the space. When Kira finally arrived, Jack was surprised by his own reaction. His heart raced when he saw her step through the airlock. Her purple skin seemed to glow more brightly than he remembered. Her silver eyes found his immediately, and her 4 hands made the traditional greeting gesture. "Welcome to my world," Jack said, returning the gesture though with only 2 hands. "It is an honor to be here," Kira replied formally, though her skin pulsed with colors that Jack now recognized as excitement. Jack had arranged for Kira to have her own quarters adjacent to his with a connecting door that could remain open or closed, as they wished Captain Miller had approved the arrangement. Understanding the importance of the cultural exchange, over the next months Jack introduced Kira to human culture. They watched classic films, listened to music from various Earth cultures, and sampled foods from around the world. Jack introduced her to his friends on the station. Kate from engineering was the first to warm to Kira. The two found common ground discussing propulsion systems and energy conversion. Kate invited them to game night, where Kira proved surprisingly adept at strategy games, despite never having played before. Humans are much more competitive than Xerelians, Kira observed after winning her 3rd consecutive game of chess. "You play to win, where we would play to create balance. Is that bad?" Jack asked, concerned their differences might be too great. Kira glowed with amusement. "Different, not bad," she said, using his own words from weeks earlier. "Just as your passion is different from our caution, both have value." As the months passed, Jack and Kira developed a comfortable routine. They worked separately during station days, he maintaining life support systems, she studying human culture and assisting with interspecies communications. In the evenings, they explored each other's worlds through stories, music, and shared meals. Jack found himself looking forward to their time together. Kira's perspective made him see his own world differently. Her questions challenged him to explain things he had always taken for granted. Why do humans rush so much? Why do they separate work and pleasure? Why do they draw boundaries between nature and technology? 6 months into their courtship year, Jack took Kira to Earth. This would be her first visit to the human homeworld, and Jack was both excited and nervous. Would she find his planet as fascinating as he had found hers? They landed in the Pacific Northwest. Jack had chosen the location carefully. The lush forests and dramatic coastline reminded him somewhat of Xerella, though Earth skies had only one moon, and the trees were green, not purple. Kira's eyes widened as they stepped outside the transport. "So much green," she exclaimed, her skin pulsing with excitement. "The plants, they grow everywhere, and the water is blue, not purple. How strange, how beautiful." Jack had rented a small cabin on the edge of Olympic National Park, far from major cities. He wanted Kira to experience Earth nature before the overwhelming crush of human civilization. That first night, they sat on the cabin's porch watching stars appear in the darkening sky. Jack's breath caught as he realized how natural it felt to be here with her. How right it seemed to be sharing his world as she had shared hers. "Do you miss Xerella?" he asked. Kira considered the question, her skin shifting through thoughtful shades. "I miss aspects of home," she said finally, "but I am not sad to be here. This is part of our journey together, learning, understanding each other's worlds." Jack and Kira spent 3 weeks exploring Earth. Jack showed her ancient forests, towering mountains, and crashing ocean waves. He took her to small towns where curious humans stared, but were mostly polite, though interspecies visitors were no longer rare on Earth. Xerelians were still uncommon enough to draw attention. In a small coastal town, they met Jack's childhood friend Alice. She owned a bookstore filled with real paper books, a novelty to Kira, whose people recorded information in crystalline structures. Alice welcomed them warmly, inviting them to dinner at her home. She showed no surprise at Jack's alien companion, only curiosity and friendliness. "You two seem good together," Alice said when Kira was examining Alice's garden. "How did you meet Jack?" explained the accidental courtship ritual. Alice laughed until tears came to her eyes. "Only you, Jack. Only you could accidentally get engaged to an alien diplomat. It wasn't planned," Jack admitted. "But I'm not sorry. It happened." Alice studied his face. "Something has changed in you," she said. "You seem more centered, more patient." Jack hadn't noticed the change in himself but realized Alice was right. The Zarelian influence had affected him. Their perspective on time and balance had seeped into his consciousness. That night after returning to their cabin, Jack found Kira standing outside staring at the moon. "Your moon is so large," she said, "so bright, but only one. It must be lonely." Jack smiled at the very Zarelian perspective. "I've never thought of it that way," he said. "But I suppose one moon might seem strange when you're used to." Kira turned to him, her silver eyes reflecting moonlight. "Have you noticed how we have begun to think like each other?" she asked. "You consider balance more often?" "I find myself feeling impatient sometimes, wanting to rush forward like a human." Jack nodded. "I was just thinking the same thing. We're changing each other. Is that acceptable to you?" Kira asked, her skin pulsing with subtle colors Jack had learned to recognize as uncertainty. "More than acceptable," Jack said. "It's wonderful." The following week, they visited New York City. Kira was overwhelmed by the noise, the crowds, the constant movement. She had experienced nothing like it on her world. Zarelian cities were orderly, quiet places, where everyone moved with purpose and awareness of others. So many humans. Kira whispered, her forearms drawing close to her body protectively. "How do they not collide?" Jack laughed softly, guiding her through the crowd with a hand gently on her back. "They do sometimes. It's part of the chaos and energy of human cities." They visited museums, galleries, and parks. Jack watching Kira's reactions more than the attractions themselves. Her wonder at human art, her confusion at abstract expressionism, her delight in Central Park all gave him new appreciation for things he had taken for granted. In the evening they attended a symphony. Kira sat entranced as the orchestra played Beethoven. Her skin rippled with colors in time with the music expressing emotions beyond words. Music is universal, Jack thought watching her. It reaches across species, across stars, as their Earth visit neared its end. Jack took Kira to meet his parents. Helen and George Freeman lived in a small house in Arizona. They had been surprised when Jack told them about Kira but had agreed to meet her. His mother welcomed them warmly, though Jack could see her struggling not to stare at Kira's forearms and purple skin. His father was more reserved, asking polite but distant questions about Zarelian culture. That night after Kira had gone to bed, Jack sat with his parents in their kitchen. "She's not what I expected," Helen admitted. "But she seems kind, intelligent. She's all that and more," Jack said. George studied his son carefully. "This courtship you're in, are you serious about it?" Jack considered the question. 9 months ago he would have said no, that it was just a diplomatic necessity. "Now, I think I am," he said, surprised at his own certainty. Helen reached across the table to squeeze his hand. "She makes your eyes light up," she said. "I've never seen you look at anyone that way, but she's so different." George protested. "How would you even, can you have a future together?" Jack smiled. "Difference isn't always a barrier, Dad. Sometimes it's a bridge." When they returned to Outpost 7, Captain Miller had news. The Zarelian government had proposed a joint scientific mission. They wanted human and Zarelian scientists to work together studying a newly discovered planet with potential for colonization. "They specifically requested you," Captain Miller said. "You and Kira would serve as cultural liaisons. This could be a groundbreaking opportunity. The mission would last 2 years." Jack realized this would extend beyond their courtship, year forcing a decision sooner than expected. He looked at Kira, her silver eyes meeting his. "What do you think?" he asked. Kira considered, her skin shifting through thoughtful colors. "It would be an honor to serve both our peoples," she said. "But this is a decision we must make together." They discussed the opportunity late into the night, weighing the professional advantages against the personal implications. If they accepted, they would need to decide about their relationship before the mission began. If they declined, they might miss a unique opportunity. Jack found himself imagining a future with Kira not just the next year, but decades beyond. His life had been enriched by her presence, her different perspective, her gentle wisdom. The thought of returning to his solitary existence after their courtship year ended, left him feeling empty. The next morning, they gave Captain Miller their answer. They would accept the mission on one condition. They needed 2 weeks' leave first to visit Zarella. There were matters they needed to discuss with Kira's family. The journey to Zarella seemed shorter this time. Jack was no longer anxious about visiting an alien world. Instead, he felt a growing sense of anticipation. When they arrived, Ambassador Zarell greeted them formally, but Jack could see curiosity in his silver eyes. That evening, after the formal welcome dinner, Jack requested a private audience with the ambassador. Kira was not present for this meeting. As tradition dictated, Ambassador Zorel sat across from Jack in his private study, 4 hands folded in the gesture of attentive listening. "You wish to speak with me?" Jack took a deep breath. "The courtship year is not complete, but I find I do not need more time. I wish to ask for Kira's hand in marriage according to your traditions." The ambassador stared at Jack, his skin brightening with surprise. "This is unexpected. Your human captain informed us you were reluctant." Jack admitted. "But that was before I knew Kira. Before I understood your people. Now I find my reluctance has been replaced by certainty." Ambassador Zorel studied Jack carefully. "I have watched you these past months. You have embraced our ways, learned our language, respected our traditions. But marriage is not to be entered lightly. Especially between different species, I understand that," Jack said. "But differences can be strengths, not weaknesses. Kira and I balance each other. We see the universe through different eyes, but our vision is clearer together." The ambassador was silent for a long moment. "You speak like a Zarellian," he said finally. "Have you discussed this with my daughter?" "Not yet," Jack replied. "I wanted to follow proper protocol, Ambassador." Zorel nodded approvingly. "This shows respect for our ways. If Kira agrees, the family will support your union." The next day, Jack took Kira to the Crystal Gardens where they had walked during his first visit to Zarella. The plants glowed with internal light, creating an otherworldly beauty. Kira sensed his nervousness. "Your energy is unsettled," she said. "What troubles you?" Jack took her upper right hand in his, a gesture of deep affection in Zarellian culture. "We've spent nearly 10 months learning about each other." He said, "I've seen your world. You've seen mine." Kira nodded, her skin glowing softly. "Yes, our courtship has been educational for both of us." Jack smiled at her practical assessment. "But it's been more than educational for me. It's been transformative. When I think about my life before I met you, it seems incomplete, somehow, as if I was seeing everything in 2 dimensions and now I see in 3. Kira's skin brightened with emotion. "I too have been changed," she said. "You have taught me to embrace spontaneity, to find joy in the unexpected." Jack took a deep breath. "I know our courtship year isn't complete, but I've made my decision. I want to marry you, Kira. Not because of diplomatic necessity or cultural obligation, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it." Kira's skin glowed so brightly it illuminated the garden around them. "Are you certain?" she asked. "This is not your culture, your world?" Jack smiled. "It's not about human or Zarellian anymore, it's about us. What we create together. I love you, Kira. Will you marry me?" The Zarellian word for love was complex, carrying connotations of balance, harmony, and eternal connection. Jack had learned it carefully, wanting to express himself properly in her language. Kira's 4 hands reached for his, her skin pulsing with joy. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes, I will." The wedding took place 2 weeks later at sunset, just as Ambassador Zorel had originally proposed nearly a year before. But everything else had changed. Jack stood proudly beside Kira. Their hands intertwined as representatives from both worlds witnessed their union. The ceremony combined elements from both cultures. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising to honor each other's differences and celebrate their shared values. Kira wore traditional Zarellian ceremonial robes that shifted colors with her emotions, while Jack wore his formal outpost uniform, with Zarellian symbols of balance embroidered on the sleeves. When the ancient words were spoken and the rituals completed, Jack and Kira were declared mates in the eyes of both species. The first official human-Zerelian marriage in recorded history, Captain Miller attended representing Earth along with several diplomats and scientists. Jack's parents had made the long journey too. Though still adjusting to their son's unusual choice, they stood proudly watching the ceremony. Helen even wiped away tears when Jack and Kira exchanged their vows. The celebration lasted well into the night, Zerelians and humans mingling awkwardly at first, then with growing ease as food music and dance bridged cultural gaps. Jack watched with satisfaction as his mother taught Ambassador Zorel a simple Earth dance, while his father discussed engineering with a Zerelian scientist, using elaborate hand gestures to overcome language barriers. "What are you thinking?" Kira asked, finding Jack watching the celebrations, her skin glowing with the Zerelian equivalent of newlywed happiness. Jack smiled. "That this is just the beginning," he said 1 year ago. "I thought our differences were too great to overcome. Now I see they're our greatest strength." After the wedding, Jack and Kira had 1 week before they needed to report for the joint scientific mission. Captain Miller had arranged for them to have private quarters on the research vessel that would serve as their home for the next 2 years. The ship was named Unity, a fitting symbol for their new life together. The quarters had been specially designed with features for both human and Zerelian comfort. A gravity adjuster allowed Kira to experience the slightly higher gravity she was accustomed to. The lighting could shift to either Earth or Zerelian spectrums. Their first night aboard the ship, they stood at the viewing port, watching as Earth grew smaller behind them and the stars beckoned ahead. "I never imagined my life would take this path," Jack said, holding Kira's hand. "When we first met, I was terrified of being forced into marriage. Now I can't imagine any other choice." Kira glowed with happiness. "The universe has its own wisdom," she said. "Sometimes what appears to be an error in the pattern reveals itself as essential to the design." 2 days into their journey, Captain Miller called them to the bridge. There was a message from Zerella. Ambassador Zorel appeared. On the screen, his expression solemn. "News has reached us that other species are considering formal unions between their people and humans," he said. "Your marriage has inspired much discussion throughout the galactic community." Jack and Kira exchanged glances. They hadn't considered the political implications of their personal choice. "The Galactic Council wishes to interview you both," Ambassador Zorel continued. "Your experience may help shape interspecies relations for generations to come. They request your presence at the next summit." Captain Miller adjusted their course. The scientific mission would be delayed, but this opportunity was too important to decline. Jack and Kira spent the journey preparing, discussing how to present their relationship in a way that might help others understand. The Galactic Council met on a massive space station at the edge of charted space. Representatives from 12 spacefaring species gathered in the Great Chamber. Jack felt small standing before them, the only human in a room of beings from across the galaxy. "You have done something unprecedented," a tall crystalline being said, its voice translated through the universal system. "You have chosen to bind your life to one not of your kind." "Tell us why." Jack looked at Kira, drawing strength from her presence. "We discovered that difference can be a source of strength, not division," he said. "When we see through each other's eyes, our vision is clearer. When we think with different minds, our wisdom is deeper." Kira stepped forward, her 4 hands making the formal gesture of respect. "What began as misunderstanding became opportunity," she said. "We learned that connection transcends biology, culture, even different evolutionary paths." The council questioned them for hours, asking about practical matters, cultural adjustments, biological considerations. Jack and Kira answered honestly, acknowledging the challenges but emphasizing the rewards. When the session ended, the council announced a new initiative. An interspecies cultural exchange program would be established. Volunteers from all species would be invited to live among others, learning their ways, creating connections that might one day lead to more unions, like Jack and Kira's. Their scientific mission was expanded to include overseeing the first participants in this program. The Unity would carry representatives from 3 species to a jointly established outpost where they would live and work together for 1 year. That night, Jack and Kira celebrated privately, in their quarters. "We came together by accident," Jack said. But look what it's created. Something that might change the course of galactic history. Kira glowed with pride and happiness. The four balances teach that the universe seeks harmony. She said, perhaps this is part of that seeking our species reaching toward each other across the void 5 years past. The interspecies cultural exchange program flourished. Dozens of outposts were established throughout known space. Jack and Kira oversaw the Central Coordination from Unity Station, a permanent installation built at the edge of both human and Xerelian space. Other marriages followed. A human engineer and a Vexillian navigator, a Xerelian scientist and a Tauran physician species that had once viewed each other with suspicion, now found common ground through shared experience. Jack and Kira became parents, adopting 2 orphaned children, a human girl named Lily, whose parents had been lost in a shuttle accident, a young Xerelian boy named Terax, whose family had succumbed to a rare illness. Their household became a living example of interspecies harmony. Raising children from different species presented challenges, Jack and Kira discovered, but they approached each one with patience and creativity. Lily learned to speak Xerelian, her young mind absorbing the complex language more easily than Jack ever had. Terax embraced human games and stories, his 4 arms giving him advantages in certain sports that made him popular. Among his human peers, on the 10th anniversary of their marriage, Jack and Kira returned to Outpost 7 where they had first met. The station had been expanded, now serving as a major hub for interspecies commerce and cultural exchange. Captain Miller, now Admiral Miller, greeted them warmly. "You two started something remarkable," she said, looking around at the bustling station where beings from a dozen worlds moved with comfortable familiarity. Who would have thought an accidental courtship could lead to all this? Jack smiled, taking Kira's hand. That evening, as they stood at the same viewing port where they had first watched the Xerelian ship approach, Jack felt a sense of completion. "Remember how terrified I was when your father announced our engagement?" he asked. Kira glowed with amusement. "I was equally alarmed," she admitted, "though I hid it better." Your face turned the most interesting shade of red, Jack laughed. "Sometimes the universe knows what you're looking for before you do," he said. Squeezing her hand, Kira extended her 4 arms, embracing him in the full Xerelian manner. "When we reach beyond our differences," she said, "we find our shared humanity." Jack raised an eyebrow at her choice of words. Kira glowed with mischief. "I use the term in its broadest sense," she said, "humanity not as a species but as a quality. Compassion, understanding, connection. These belong to no single world." Jack nodded, understanding perfectly. It was one of the many lessons their union had taught both their peoples, that what made them persons transcended their biological differences. Later that night, they watched as a ship arrived carrying the newest participants in the exchange program. Young beings from 5 different worlds, eager to learn from each other. Jack and Kira would serve as their mentors, sharing the wisdom of their journey. What began as an awkward diplomatic incident had become a catalyst for change throughout known space. And it all started because Jack Freeman happened to be in the right place at the right time. Sometimes Jack reflected, watching as Kira welcomed the newcomers with graceful 4-armed gestures. Love finds us in the most unexpected ways, across differences, across misunderstandings, even across the stars.